Let's talk about your work in the House of Lords. But first, maybe we have to talk about what is the House of Lords, because many of our audience in America might not understand. They probably have seen Question Time in the House of Commons, and they don't know the difference between the House of Commons, the House of Lords. But maybe you can give us a quick history brief on
I'm not sure I can give you a quick history brief. House of Lords goes back, to almost the original parliaments. That they were all made up of the very well-to-do and the aristocracy. That's what Parliament was packed full of. Today, it has obviously the whole process of the spreading the vote out. So the elected chamber it now has prominence, priority over the role of the House of Lords, which has become more scrutinizing, revising and amending legislation which gets passed up to it from the Commons. However, the House of Lords still does have power to reject legislation, although there is the Salisbury Convention which says that we can amend and send back, and if the Commons sends it back again, then we are in this process of ping pong, it's called, and in the end we have to give way. But that's only on policies, on bills which are connected to the government's manifesto at the time of the election. So it's worked on the argument that they were elected on these promises and the House of Lords shouldn't stand in the way. If the government brings a bill in which was not in the manifesto, then actually the House of Lords still has the power to reject it. And in the current state of affairs, the House of Lords has a majority in opposition to the government. So, that's just telling you the current position. But to get into the House of Lords, you're actually appointed by the Queen. In reality, the Prime Minister gives the Queen a list. There has been vetting and all sorts of other things going on. But the members of the House of Lords are obviously many political people who have been ministers or members of the Commons or been maybe in local council or even in trade unions, whatever. You have medics, medical professors, academics, a lot of legal people, a lot of lawyers, ex-judges, etc. So there is, the age profile is much older. I think it's the average age is actually over 70, 75 almost. But there is the wisdom there. And it is a place where you can have a reasoned debate. There is a requirement for courtesy. We're not allowed to say you. We say the noble lord has said this, or the noble baroness has said this. We have these, if you like, slightly old-fashioned ways of talking to one another, but it maintains a courteous relationship where debate can take place. And I heard there was a saying whereby it said, basically it was saying it's better to debate a subject and not to have an agreement than not to have a conclusion than to have a conclusion without a debate. And I think the House of Lords is one of the few places you can have that reasoned debate. So if you read Hansard, it's very different to the debate in the Commons.
Yeah, and it shows. And again, the House of Commons are elected by the people based on geographies throughout the United Kingdom, 650 constituents there. And then House of Lords, 797, I think, appointed for life.
Yep.
And because you have that life appointment, you can, and you have that wisdom, you can kind of go deeper and really construct policies over time that mean a lot to you, that you can then send to the House of Commons. Whereas, and this is maybe a generalization, the House of Commons, the people there, they really have to look out for their constituency. They have to help administer that, do what's in the best interest, and also worry about elections every 4 to 5 years.
Absolutely.
And so it's almost like you have more time to do more important long-term work.
Absolutely right. I think that is a huge advantage. When I was advised, that the Queen was giving me a peerage, I thought, well, this is very nice, and it's very nice for my wife. She'll be lady farmer and sort of. But actually, within a day, I suddenly thought, I can speak. I can stand up and speak. I can talk about families. I can talk about the things which matter to me. And there is that, you're absolutely right, a sort of, not relaxation, but that comfort, that knowing that you're there for as many days as the good Lord gives you on this earth, and you can do your work there, even if you're in opposition, even if you're a lowly backbencher, you can still stand up and speak, and you can still influence. I had a little experience when I came into the House of Lords. You have to do all sorts of filling forms and all sorts of other things. And I was talking to one of the clerks of Parliament there, filling in forms about personal interests and things like that. And I said, look, you don't really need to worry about me. I'm one of the lowest of the low, because I'm a sort of backbencher. And he went, excuse me, my lord, you're one of the people who makes the laws which I have to obey. And I thought, oops, right, you put me in my place.